Welcome to what I'm calling currently the Tier 0 podcast, because this is a Tier 0 implementation. I don't know what I'm doing, but we have got a fun conversation here with the AstroPub. We've got lots of fun challenges for him. He even takes on AI, and you can see whether he knows more about law than Google Gemini. Lots of fun stuff. Let's get straight into it. First of all, let's just do some introductions, some quick fire questions for you. First of all, who are you?
Yes,
what's your name?
as always.
Where have you been? Star Citizen stuff. Tell us.
My name is Paul Shelley. I've been a Star Citizen backer since 2014, 2013, whenever the Hangar module came out. That's when it happens. Yeah. But I do content on YouTube and Twitch. I run 9-year-old podcast now called the Captain's Table Podcast, where we just sort of talk about Star Citizen. I also run a channel called The Astro Historian, where most people know me from, which is I do lore mostly of Star Citizen, but I kind of branch out into other sci-fi and space universes just for fun. So, and then I've also my probably what most people know me by, if you've been in the community for long term, is the AstroPub, where it's kind of gaming and other things on Twitch, but again, mostly started on Star Citizen. So.
Okay, and now on this channel, I basically have to ask a question about PC specs. I can't not. I have to ask one. What are your current PC specs?
Yes.
And we did do a video on your channel that's been coming up with your new ones, but yeah.
Oh, okay. So it start with a CPU. It is a 11700K Intel i7. It is. I have 32 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM.
Yep.
I have a 2070 Super. And I have 1 terabyte M2 drive, and then I've got a bunch of 1 terabyte and 2 terabyte SATA SSD drives. I think they're all Western Digital. So
nice. Okay, so kind of in need of an upgrade, maybe.
Yes. There'll be a video on my channel with all the statistics, all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Nice. And what's your favorite ship in game?
Favorite ship of all time is the Corsair.
Nice. Getting a bit of an upgrade,
and
maybe.
It's gotten glow up in 4.1.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, nice. Okay, very good. Favorite gameplay to do currently that's kind of in the game right now?
Completely legitimate trading.
Okay.
Don't ask questions about what I'm trading.
Okay, and a good challenge for you here. Squadron 42, when will it be released? Date, month? Give us what you've got, your best guess. We believe in you. Come on.
Put it at, put my feet to the fire here, because there are 2 possible dates.
Okay.
I'm going to give both, and then I'll give the more likely. February of 2026.
Oof. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
But because CIG and because just video games in general require, they're gonna hit that point where they go towards gold, and they're just like, could we use like 3 to 6 months more? And almost every game has done that in the last 10 years. Yeah. So the other guess is October of 2026. So I think we'll see an announcement date for February of 2026, and then then in like December or January they'll go 6 more months, and then it'll be October. So
nice. That is a good answer. I like that. Okay, right. It's a good topic at the moment. PvE versus PvP. I just want a one-word answer. You got to give me something. Give me your best. Yes. Okay, that's tricked me there.
Both, or the other word is both. So
okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah. That's the good way to get around it. I like that. Okay, and whose job? We might guess this one. Whose job would you steal at CIG? If you could steal a job, you take it, you take over. What would it be?
The Haddock.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
We probably might guess one, and a different one if it wasn't him.
I don't have the skills for it, but Elliot's job.
Okay, mission.
It won't be.
Mission design, nice. Okay, very nice. Okay, and what do you, let's get you a controversial topic here. What do you hate about Star Citizen? Let's roll some people up.
I'm not going to pick the easy one. For everyone who knows me, it would say the Redeemer. But I'm going to say, in terms of actual features, I will say I hate quantum travel.
Interesting. Just the time that it takes?
It's just not quite up to snuff for what CIG wants to do. I think the new quantum travel is closer to that, but it's the issue of it's not as precise. I want more precise handling of being able to know exactly where I'm dropping out of quantum or within a couple of, maybe within 100 kilometers. Okay. It's too general. It's too takes your hands off the wheel. So it's like, oh, well, let the game deal with it rather than you flying your ship. It feels too much like autopilot and as much of like it's more of a, we're getting you from point A to point B without having to, don't worry about the loading screens sort of situation, load in and load out. It's more too much game magic for me and not enough gameplay. So.
Okay, that's a good answer. I like that. Okay, now your challenge. Here we go. We're going to do some challenges throughout this. Can you give me status and law in 1 minute? Just 1 minute. Okay. You got a timer on. I've got a timer on. You got to start, and we'll fill in some extras afterwards. But I'm going to shout stop when the minute is up.
I will say, famously, I was on Level Cap's podcast, and he told me to do this, and I started with cricket farms, and he was just like, well, okay, this is gonna be a while. So I'll do this. I'll try to be succinct. Okay. So Star Citizen takes place 900 plus years in the future. It takes place in a history where humanity has expanded beyond the stars and is under a single government called the United Empire of Earth, founded by a tyrannical dictator called Ivar Messer in the 2540s. He was eventually overthrown, and humanity is sort of kind of rebuilding its relationship with its neighbors, who are the various alien species around the United Empire of Earth, which are the Xi'an, Ta'varen, Banu, and they are currently in a desperate war with the Vandul, which is the main plot of Squadron 42. But the empire is fractured. Multiple different factions are trying to vie for power, and it's up to you to decide which factions are going to come out on top in various systems and over the entirety of the UEE.
Oh, wow. You
guys have time?
You smashed it. 8 seconds left. Keep going. Give us something more.
Stanton was discovered in 2850, and it is completely controlled by all of the 4 major corporations.
Nice. Good fact.
Yeah.
Okay. Very nice.
Yes.
You've done it. You smashed it. Good work. Let's move on. This is a challenge for you. Now, imagine the scene. We're doing The Astro Historian Fixes Narrative. Dave Haddock has been poached to work on another game. Don't know what that game is. You receive a phone call from Chris Roberts begging you. He's crying on the phone. He's weeping. He wants you to come and take over the narrative. He needs you. He just wants you. What needs to change? What would you do? Let's just talk through what's going on with narrative. We've had missions at the moment. Yeah. We've had Banu things coming into the game. Tell me about narrative. Tell me what's going on.
I think CIG's already doing this, but I would lean more into this. The big thing is establishing the universe. So CIG needs to, at this point, create buy-in. So right now, no one cares about the narrative because no one even knows there is a narrative. They just go pew-pew spaceships. Yeah. So there needs to be some sort of narrative buy-in. So the first thing I would do is work with the mission team specifically to create characters that deal with missions, even in lightweight ways that have some voice lines, so that you can establish characters that people can connect to, which then will be able to lead them through, breadcrumbs down, through these narratives. And then the main narrative arcs would be told through these characters interacting with each other and you. So our latest Banu mission giver, Wikello, have them interact with Tisa Pacheco in Arcor. Yeah. Like have a mission that they cross over where Tisa is like, Wikello, I'm tired of having this conversation with you. You got to stop getting into my business. And Wikello being like, very sorry, but business is business, kind of thing, where you have these characters who will interact with each other and bounce off of each other. And so players will then have to make a decision. Do you like Tisa or do you like Wikello more? What is the decisions? And then those people become the sort of representative, the faces of their factions. And then those factions become that. Then it leads you into those factions specifically. So you kind of understands like, oh, the Tony Syndicate. Oh, that's Tisia's thing. She talks about that. So yeah, it's that, and then because people are a lot more amenable to a person, they can, when you say, oh, the headhunters, you go, okay, it's an armor set, whatever. But if you have like Jim, who's the head of outreach, you're like, oh, Jim, that's who you're talking about. Headhunters. He's the guy with the weird skull on his face,
Yeah. I mean, the thing I was thinking with all this narrative stuff is, the complete lack of any characters. You think about Star Wars or anything like that, there are characters. Luke Skywalker, everybody is into and connects to the characters, and CIG through this kind of save stunts and stuff.
Yeah.
They just didn't do anything. It was just completely lacking in people to latch onto, characters to connect to, and it just fell all a bit flat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seemed like they were just kind of doing with what they had, doing what they could with what they had, and now they're actually starting to get the funding or the support from the rest of the development team to actually do this, which is why Wikello is there. I'm hoping this is the prelude to the future, but I've been begging CIG to like build character. Character is the thing that's going to get people connected to the game, and if you can create an interesting, quirky character or a character that people can understand, and then slowly tie them into the wider universe. Every game has one of those characters. Like Destiny famously has Cade 6. I talk about I'm an old school Warcraft gamer. So like Thrall was a big tie for the reason why I wanted to go into World of Warcraft, and Arthas and those sorts of characters, Jada Proudmoore, those characters which I remember from my time playing Warcraft 3. So when getting into World of Warcraft, I was like, oh, these are the characters I'm connected to. Even though most people play the game, like I think a lot of people sink time because they're like, oh, I'm going to connect to the Horde because that is my side. I like Thrall. This is the person I want to work with, sort of thing. So
yeah.
Character.
And I suppose maybe with Squadron coming to some sort of conclusion, hopefully, maybe the narrative team, there's more resources. Like I say, there's the ability for people like Dave Haddock to be freed up to have space to do all the stuff. Obviously on the SCL, he was talking about all the narrative stuff. Hopefully this is a good sign. I'm sending you back in time. It's the Astro Terminator. You can go back and change something about Star Citizen's development. You can save the project. You can get rid of some feature creep. You can get rid of some sort of event. Anything you want. You can take somebody out. What are you going to do?
I am going to completely remove the 100 systems. Promise.
Okay, that's interesting. Why? What's thinking about that?
Because I think that was the biggest mistake, was that they were building a freelancer style game when in hindsight, they're not. They're building a completely bigger game. Mm-hmm. If they said we're building 5 systems with larger systems growing over time, I think almost everyone with the scope that the game had become, I think that would have been a much better move. Instead of increasing the system size as being more detailed in every system, more factions, that kind of thing. I think that would have been a little bit better, because that would also have focused them earlier on we want to get these systems done really well. And I'm not saying that this is a hindsight is 2020 thing, because CIG originally was making Freelancer the multiplayer game, versus now what they're making is Star Citizen, completely different beast as it was when it was originally pitched, because they didn't have the idea of landing on planets. And I think that was the thing that changed the whole scope, was landing on planets. If we didn't have landing on planets, that technology wasn't unlocked. The game would have been out much sooner, probably already been out now. But it would have been like Starfield. It's like a more advanced Starfield multiplayer. Yeah. So
fair. And you wouldn't take out the holiday live stream, the absolute disastrous experience that was?
Oh God. 2016.
Yeah. Oh, I'm scarred by that one. It's man, that was a pretty low moment for the whole project. I think I'd be tempted to take that one out.
I would have. I still do Christmas in July, where I watch on my stream. I watch the full 2016 live stream and encourage people to drink. It is our Star Wars. It is our Star Wars holiday special. I will never let it die. Much to the chagrin of Xylo, who tells me like, "Why let it die, Paul?" And I'm like, "Never. I'm going to be that slave in the Roman parade, sitting behind Chris Roberts, being like, 'You are mortal. You're going to die.' 2016 holiday live stream. Never forget.
That's funny. Oh man, I don't think I've watched it since the first time. I'm just completely, it just shivers down my spine. It was bad. It's
not
so
as bad as you remember. I've watched it many times. It's cringy, and the early on it is awful, but once it gets a bit better as they figured out the processes. But the problem was at the time it was so shockingly bad at the beginning that most people don't remember the end because it was like all of the technical issues, all the problems. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh goodness. Well, let's not talk any more about that. Right. Next segment. Fund Chris Roberts' new yacht. He is after a new yacht. He's called you up again. He's upset. He wants a new yacht to add to his collection. He wants you to design a ship to sell. So what are we missing? What would you love to see? We can have bonus points for a name and manufacturer. Give us a new ship so that Chris Roberts can set sail onto the seas again.
Okay. So Star Citizen's versions of the Cowboy Bebop, from Cowboy Bebop.
Okay.
So a bounty hunting ship, capital bounty hunting ship, which can host two smaller fighters, which has a full brig. It has a full crew complement, armory, interrogation room, and has the ability to quantum interdict, massive areas. So you can just sit in an air place, like kind of like a floating police station that also has the ability of being a roadblock. So, it would be made by Crusader, and it would be called oh gosh, what was the name of that I had? This is a thing I've had a lot of thought on this one. So, this is one of the things I would like to see in the game, but in general, what was it? What was I going to call it? I think I was going to call it. No, not the Saturn. Okay. I got the name. The Crusader Cerberus.
Ooh, nice. That's strong. That's good. I like that.
Guard dog of the underworld sort of thing, So.
Yes. Oh, interesting. And price? How much you charging for this?
600. Between 650 at the launch, but full price is $800.
Very nice. Very nice. I could see people get behind that.
Chris needs a new yacht. All right. You gotta make sure you get that capital ship out, baby.
Yeah, that is the way to do it. Capital ships for the win, definitely. Okay, we should probably talk about this whole item recovery stuff. Obviously, we lots of talk about this in the community at the moment. Tier 0 is currently in. What's going on with this? Give us a kind of overview of what's happening.
Yeah. So Tier 0 is this initial implementation where if you die, anything you have equipped on you comes back with you when you regen. Totally. The only thing that stays that you don't have is anything that was in your inventory. So in your leg slots, your chest slots, your backpack. They mention your backpack because that's where most people keep their stuff. But basically anything you have stored is gone, but anything you have equipped is with you. And if you killed that person or you find that person's body, you can loot the backpack and their inventory, but not their armor or weapons. That's Tier 0. And Tier 1 and 2, you can loot those things, but they're quote unquote bricked. So you can sell them for a month, but you can't use them.
Yep.
And they're also, instead of you regenning with everything, you can go back to you can like kind of set an item set, like an outfit. Mm-hmm. And then you can go to your hangar and then purchase back that set with Tier 1. And then Tier 2 is, instead of it just immediately bricking, you can, even if it is bricked, you can take it back and then like disassemble it or like rebuild it from parts for like crafting purposes. So.
Okay, nice. And what are your thoughts on it? How you feeling?
It's incredibly controversial. A lot of people don't like it because of the Tier 0. I don't think a lot of people have a problem with Tier 1 and Tier 2. I think they prefer Tier 1 and Tier 2 to Tier 0. I think the biggest the thing I've seen is just skip Tier 0 and go to Tier 1. And I do think a lot of people don't want Tier 0 because when CIG goes, this is Tier 0, people go, cool, we're gonna have this for 3 years and you're not gonna change it. Yeah. So I think that's the major pushback rather than like, because personally, I don't see it being much of a difference than we have now. Instead of just you losing all your things, you don't. But you still lose all of anything you have in your inventory. And I don't know many people who actively scavenge every armor piece and weapon and stuff like that. So I understand why people are upset about it because it is going to change things like the contested zones where now you just You should just wake back up and go right back into the contested zone and shoot everyone and then die and then wake back up and do the exact same thing over. It costs you absolutely nothing. It removes a lot of the threat, a lot of the risk versus the reward aspect of things. So I think it's the right direction, but I'm also don't have a dog in the fight because my perspective is this isn't that different from what we have now. Yes, it does make things a little worse, but like there is no risk and reward right now. It's like negative risk reward in general. So I don't see this change is mostly just to appease the people who are who wanted the gear return from like the subscriber gear. So
I go with that. I mean, it's an interesting time to do it. It is interesting to just throw a tier 0 out that is kind of less than kind of optimal solution in some ways, but in some ways maybe they just need to get something out to test it and to work out the kinks, work out the issues, because it's it's definitely controversial and there are issues with it. I think there's serious issues with the tier 0 implementation, but as you say, there will be a tier 1 and tier 2. But yeah,
I think there's some simple changes. Like for instance, I know this would be a no one would be happy, but it would be better, I think, in terms of quieting people is you just get your armor back, not your weapons, or you get your armor and weapons, but you don't get any of your ammo. It's like all of your ammo doesn't regen with you. So you have to buy new ammo. It's a small thing, but that means that you can't just like get up, go off with your railgun and just, or your grenade launcher and just start killing people and be like, ha 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 ha, I can kill you, but oh, you killed me. Or I come back with all of my grenades back, ha 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 ha, infinite ammo situation. I just backspace myself back to more ammo. And that's not ideal. I did hear that there was a 5% death tax, but then I also heard that was a bug and or a not implemented, because that's one of the things they're looking at doing in tier 1 or tier 2 is that sort of cost for regen. Sort of thing.
Interesting. So, I guess the idea that you'd have to pay some sort of fine whenever you die to have the materials for the body makes total sense. And again, we do need some sort of sync, some sort of things where you are punished for death and some risks. And I suppose a lot of all of this will depend on the tier 1 and the tier 2 will depend on whether they can actually find ways to actually punish players, and there be a cost to it, because it can't be, you can't just be respawning and having not lost anything. There needs to be costs to death. So what is your dream in the finished version of the game? The year is 2042. Star Citizen is finally finished, whatever that really means. You're playing the game. What do you dream of? What are the things that you really want to do? The things that you long for when that day, that sweet day, eventually comes, when the game is ready to actually be played and enjoyed.
So my main focus is on trading, but like with a difficulty slider in the sense, because I want to do less than legal free market I want to do smuggling. Nice. And I think that's entertaining because it's light. So you have to be a decent pilot. You have to understand how your output is. So it's about stealth. So it's about learning, like it's the challenging part about combat without actually engaging in combat, doing everything you can to avoid combat, how to travel. It's a little bit of information. You gotta figure out what things are. You gotta know the right goods. You gotta know the right places. You have to go to places which you're going to get shot at or possibly shot at, and you have to know the right people. For me, that's more engaging in terms of trading gameplay than just, trucking simulator. It's more of I could always be betrayed at any moment. This is exciting. But I also am a big fan of Final Fantasy XIV. I don't play it, but I follow a lot of people who play it. And one of the things that I've seen people do is they will like basically create a nightclub on Fridays and Saturdays. And so the
Astro Pub.
Yeah. So the idea of having like an Astro Pub where you can come in and get drinks and stuff like that, but maybe there's a live performance from somebody, or a DJ that's coming in is piping music through so people can dance on the dance floor, or come and enjoy and just sort of relax. So a social space for players to hang out, to maybe role play, but mostly just hang out and be someplace. So
nice.
That's the reason the AstroPub exists. Is that's the idea, is that eventually either a ship or a location where people can come in and be like, oh yeah, I went to this cool place where people are hanging out and dancing and talking and stuff. So
very nice. I like that a lot. Okay, now we've got a fun one. We've got the Astro Historian versus AI. So the plan is that you will take on some questions that have been generated by Google Gemini. I've not edited them at all. They might be complete randomness, but the challenge is, can you take on the power of all AI and beat it in a lore challenge? So let's see. Question number 1. What pivotal historical event led to the formation of the United Empire of Earth, the UEE?
Well, there's 2 answers to this. The first answer is the First Tevarin War.
Okay, yeah.
Because Ivar Messer is the hero of the First Tevarin War. He was the hero of Idris IV, which was the first major sort of pushback against the Tevarin. It's the thing that sort of turned the tide against the Tevarin. And then he became the unlikely war hero turned leader. So he ended up getting raised up the ranks from captain to colonel pretty quickly. And then because he was so effective and so beloved, he ended up taking total command of the invasion forces, or the offensive forces against them, and actually led the invasion of the Tevarin homeworld to win the war.
Okay.
Afterwards, obviously, he was super popular. So when it came to the election, because in the UPE at the time, the precursor of the UEE had the triumvirate system, where they had the High Advocate, the High Secretary, and the High General. And so these were all elected positions. One was basically in charge of law enforcement and the law. The other one was more in charge of like making law, more like a legislative system, like a parliament, and so on and so forth. It's basically a prime minister. And then the High General was the head of the military. The military was his own branch. So because they're all elected, Ivar Messer ran for High General and won handily because he was the hero of the First Tevarin War. And because of his concerns over how the UP was structured and functioned, he wanted to create a new system that would allow for a chief executive amongst all of the triumvirate, specifically because they were in a different universe. So they had the Xi'an on one corner who were still threatening the UEE, and the Tevarin weren't gone. They were defeated, but there were remnants out in the periphery. The UP had gotten much bigger, and there was outlaws everywhere. So there needed to be, in his point of view, there needed to be some sort of central person who can quickly organize and defend against the hostile forces. He just so thought that he was the perfect person for that job because he was a bit of an egoist. And so he tried to do it the political way by running, this idea for the prime citizen, the first citizen who would control everything. And he found out that most people don't like dictatorships. And so he wasn't winning the argument for that. So it's been found since then that he created a series of terrorist bombings orchestrated by himself and his own men from the war and framed them as Xi'an attacks. And scared enough people so he got just enough votes to win to pass the Prime Citizen Act, and then became the first prime citizen, and then immediately dissolved the UPE and formed his own empire, the UEE, with very little pushback. So the UEE was formed because of the Tevarin War, but also because of the atrocity at Jata was the main one. What did the AI say?
Okay, well, the AI said the Unification War was the pivotal event that led to the formation of the UEE, which doesn't sound like...
Nope.
Yeah, you're not saying that.
Nope. The Unification War is like UNE. So we're looking like, that's like the foundational of, like, early human history. Like, we just discovered the jump points sort of thing. Okay. Yeah, that is 300 years off.
Okay. Well, that's a point for you. Well done. 1-0 to you. You're beating the AI so far. Right. Second question. Name the alien race that initiated first contact with humanity.
The Banu.
Okay, that's not what AI say.
What does it say?
Yeah, go on.
Well, the reason
AI
why
say the Arboretum. The Arboretum.
The Arbor.
Yeah, I don't know why. That's what it's saying. The Arboretum is the first.
That might be
contact.
From another lore thing. No, not with Star Citizen. No. The Banu. The fun. I'll give you a quick fun fact about this.
Yeah, go on.
It was an awful. I have an entire video on this, but it was an awful situation because it was in the Yeah, it was in the Davian system, which had just been discovered. Which is now the headquarters of Aegis. But a guy by the name of Vernon Tarr was a nav jumper. A nav jumper is just they're explorers. They're specifically designed to they specifically function as people who can find jump points, chart jump points, and fly through jump points without any assistance. So they're sort of wildcat, crazy people who decide to go off into the edge of space and maybe roll the dice and get a jump point, which is very rare. And he was tracking a jump point and was paranoid. And he saw a ship pop up in his sensors around where he thought the jump point was. Immediately thought somebody was stealing had followed him and was stealing his stuff. So he decides that he's going to take a shot at them. But he misses. And after he misses, he realizes that is not like a ship I've ever seen before. On the other side of the coin, a guy by the name of Njeri, a Banu, was a low-level bureaucrat in a Suli who wanted to become part of an exploration Suli. Suli is just a company sort of thing in the Banu. So he was still years away from getting out of his contract, so he was embezzling funds from his Suli, quite illegally, to get out. So he was discovered, and he panicked, stole a Banu defender, and fled. And ended up right in front of Vernon Tarr as he took the shot. And so both Vernon immediately called the UNE rapid response force and be like, yo, this is an alien. This is an alien I've just discovered. The UNE shows up. They take in Njeri, who's very pissed because he just got shot at. But then they started talking with him and becomes very, very compliant. He's like, oh yeah, this is great, because he wanted to be an explorer. And the one of the fun little facts was they wanted to figure out what he needed to eat because they didn't know what he needed. So they left him a bouquet of things of all different sizes, of all different types of food. And so he then proceeds to eat the food, but some of it was in wrappers. So he just ate the wrapper with the food. And that's how we discovered the Banu can basically eat anything.
Nice.
So yeah. And he became, because the translations didn't work very, very well, because obviously alien language. So whenever everyone heard him say his name, they didn't hear Njeri, they just heard Jerry. So he became Jerry, and he adapted the name Jerry as his name for the rest of his life. So it's a fun little story.
It's good. It's good. It's a good story. Thank you. Right. 2-0. Is it 2 or 3? I don't know. You're smashing it. Okay. Next one. What system is considered the heart of the UEE and houses the Senate? So there's some weird symbols
Earth.
here. But
Solar system.
Well, that's not what they're saying. They're saying that it's Terra. Which I guess
that AI is a transitionalist. That is a based AI. Yeah. So that's the main plot of Star Citizen, is going to be the conflict between Earth and Terra. Terra is arguably the heart of the UEE in terms of commercial trade, but the Senate is still on Earth. And that's sort of the main back and forth that we're going to see in the main story of Star Citizen is, do you support Earth, the old humanity, old center of humanity, or Terra, which a lot of people say is the future of humanity because of its larger size, its multiple jump points, its connections with multiple alien species. So there's more in depth to that one. So.
Yeah. Okay. But so far, this AI is not looking great. Next question. What is the name of the controversial terraforming project that drastically changed the planet Mars?
Oh, Project Renatus.
That's not what it's saying here. It says Project Green.
No. Again, I think it's pulling from other lore, that kind of stuff. So Renatus is actually the name of the capital city of Mars. It's called Port Renatus, and it was named after the project. So that's how I know about that. This is one of those fun things. So
that's good. Good knowledge. Okay. Identify the organization known for their piracy and raids in the Pyro system. So yeah, which one?
Which one? Yes. Yeah. Headhunters, Xenothreat, Fire Rats, Horizon, all sorts of frontier fighters, I guess now. What do they say?
They're saying the Ninetales.
Ninetales?
Yeah. So they're wrong.
Yeah.
So that's not very good. Okay, next one. What is the verse in the Star Citizen universe, and what does it represent? It's a bit of a weird question. I mean, I don't really understand that question. Go on.
It's the systems of humanity. It's just the universe, and it represents typically most of the area where humanity has discovered. Because we know, for instance, like the Xi'an Empire is huge. We only see a handful of systems compared to their massive system we don't see. So it represents the scope upon which humanity has discovered the universe.
Okay.
In terms of travel.
Very good. I like it. Right, next one. Name the influential family that played a significant role in the Messer era.
The Messers?
Yeah.
It's named?
No idea. So yeah, this is the Messers, obviously. What's jump point technology, and why is it crucial for interstellar travel in Star Citizen?
The quantum core engine, I guess we would say. I mean,
it's a weird one, a weird question again.
It allows us to access wormholes, which are jump points. So, I did an entire video on this one too, it's always fun to go down to, because CIG really has done their homework, and like jump points are wormholes. They're almost directly, and it's clear that they've done a lot of thought about this, because the same thing that would allow you to manipulate a wormhole is the same thing that would create the Fujikawa drive, not the Fujikawa drive. That's Halo. What is it? I'm trying to think. The actual warp drive, the Alcubierre drive, Alcubierre drive, the theorized Alcubierre drive, which is a negative mass, which is what Quantanium is. So CIG making in their universe that quantum drives are really the things that open up jump points. It's just jump drives just sort of manipulate the quantum drive to make it function. Makes it so that, so they're all tied together, because the negative mass that's capable of Quantanium. The Quantanium creates negative mass, so which allows for both warp travel and quantum travel. Sorry, quantum travel, worm point traversal. So
nice. Yeah, I mean, just saying jump point technology is jump point technology. Very odd from the AI on that one. Right, next one. Which major corporation is renowned for its advanced spacecraft and military technology?
RSI or Anvil, one of the two. Probably RSI.
It's going for Aegis Dynamics.
Yeah, true. That's also true. I'll give a point for them.
Yeah,
you give a point for them.
That is literally just one. They're on the board at least. Okay, next one. The last one. What galactic threat looms on the horizon, foreshadowed by Vandal activity and ancient prophecies? What's that talking about?
Ancient prophecies.
Yeah.
So there could be two ways of going with this. One, the Vandal, because the Vandal are obviously the ones. But the question that's in a lot of people's minds is that the Vandal are actually a representation of the Vandals from ancient Rome, with the UE being sort of the fall of Rome. So the Vandal are supposed to be representative of the sort of barbarian tribes from the steppe coming to Europe. Whereas so that with that interaction, for people who know their history, the Vandals weren't invading Rome. They were running from something into Rome. They're running from the Huns. And so the question is, if the Vandal are the Vandals and they're coming into human space, who are they running from? So there could be something else coming into the universe. And a lot of people have theorized it's the Krthak, which are the species that specifically have absolutely devastated the Xi'an. They've been fighting the Xi'an to a standstill in the Spirit Wars, or some other unknown species. So I will say it's probably just going to say the Vandal, but it could also be the Krthak.
Okay, well, the answer here is the unknown. Some symbols again, often referred to as the symbols threat or swarm, is the looming galactic threat foreshadowed by Vandal activity and ancient prophecies. So I'm not really sure what to make of that, but yeah.
It could be anything. There we go. The AI is telling us that that's the name of the of the future enemy of Star Citizen, the Swarm.
Yeah. I feel like I've heard that before somewhere else. Potentially, maybe it's getting a bit mixed up here.
I think that's StarCraft. It's probably what it's referencing. So
yes. I mean, they have set the universe up pretty well for big stories like this. There is a lot of kind of scope, and it feels quite exciting to see what they'll actually do in the future.
I will say Star Citizen is unique in that they've spent a lot of time doing world building, and the designers at CIG are absolute master class of environmental storytelling. They are, you just walk through Maria Pure of Heart, Lorville in general, but Maria Pure of Heart specifically, and you can see what they can do given resources and time. They can create an immersive experience that makes you realize what a place is, while not dipping into parody. It gets almost close to parody, but it's sort of realistic in terms of its portrayal of a dystopian, hospital, with the little have you said your affirmations today? And like the little text that says, just because you die doesn't mean your lifetime contract is up. Regeneration doesn't, these sorts of little bits in here and there. And so CIG is really good at creating a universe, like background building with their online storytelling, or with there's the website. Really good at environmental storytelling with what the places they build, and really good at differentiating the different factions when they have a chance to actually build out their outfits and such. They are awful at storytelling right now. They are not very good at telling a story. And we went over that earlier because of named characters and other things like that. It's just binding all these things together. If they can bind it together good enough, they have good enough chance. I think they have a chance of becoming one of the more intriguing universes that has ever come out of gaming, simply because of the time and energy they've been putting into it. So
yeah, I go along with that. Lots exciting. It's an exciting future. Yeah. Right. Now that's the end. Tell us where we can find you. Tell us all the key information when you're on different platforms. Give us what we need to know about you.
So you can find me at twitch.tv/TheAstroPub on Thursdays, Fridays, and Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Unfortunately, it's midnight UTC. So, but on the weekends, I stream starting at 1 p.m. 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, which is 5 p.m. UTC. And on Saturdays, I do my captain's table. On Sundays, I do big organization events with my org, the League of Relic Enthusiasts. And I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/TheAstroPub, and youtube.com/TheAstroPub live concurrently. You can catch the Captain's Table podcast on youtube.com/@TheCaptain'sTablePodcast, all one word. I'm trying to build that one up because I spun it off into its own thing, because YouTube, as we all know, likes to be very specific and things. So those tend to be very long, and it doesn't work with shorter form videos. So that, and then I have my lore channel, youtube.com/TheAstroHistorian, if you want to check out Star Citizen lore, if you want to check out, I've been doing things on Cyberpunk, I've done things on Titanfall, I'm going to be doing something on Battletech, and I'm also going to do I'm working on a retrospective of the first year of the Second Galactic War of Helldivers 2. It's nice. Helldivers 2. So all of the story points for people to pull together. So I like lots of space and sci-fi, mostly Star Citizen, but every so often I'll wander over into a different universe and tick my toes in and come on back.
Very nice. Well, perfect. Thank you very much. And maybe we'll do an episode 2 of this thing. Who knows? Let's see. That is the end of the first Tier 0 podcast.